so much gloom hiding the reality. It's just a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just yeah, it's a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just yeah. Take a look into the sky. Take a look into the sky.
Look in the sky.
Keep your head up high.
High. Keep your head high.
Take a look into the sky.
Ready for a fast and firm Thursday afternoon on this June the 7th here at Gulfstream Park. Not too far from the mighty Pegasus outside. It's Ron Nicoletti and Jason Blewett joining you live, of course, on this edition of Gulfstream today from our clubhouse studios high above the finish line. Look, Ronnie, we're inside 60 minutes to race number 1, and I think for all of us, Belmont Stakes Week here in South Florida continues.
Continues, yes, and we're going to have a great weekend. We got lots of things planned for the folks, and of course, we get to watch and wager on the Belmont right here.
Absolutely. In fact, tomorrow afternoon, both on track and over at expressbet.com, we will have full entire card advance wagering on Belmont Stakes 150 and the entire Belmont Stakes Day undercard. They really did a nice job up in New York. Kudos to the racing office up at Belmont, putting together just a terrific day of racing on Saturday, June the 9th, of course. And again, we'll have that advance wagering on Friday, June the 8th. And I just want to point out there are a couple of guaranteed wagers that get underway tomorrow with their Friday Belmont Stakes Eve card. There's a New York Stakes Metropolitan Handicap Double, and of course you could always bet the Belmont Gold Cup, which will go Friday afternoon up in New York, linking that race to the Belmont Stakes. And those are two marathon races. I've always said that is a good 28 furlongs of action.
28 furlongs, when you look at it that way.
2 miles for the Gold Cup, and then you got a mile and a half for the Belmont.
And it's a great wager. You get the bet, and you get, if you're alive, then you can wait. Can't wait till the next day. So it's always a lot of fun. So lots of good stuff. But we've got lots of good stuff going on here today.
Indeed, we do. As we come out of a 9-race Wednesday card, the Rainbow Six yesterday not hit with that single exclusive jackpot ticket, but we did have a sequence, in fact, that paid out a little over $2,100. And I thought, just taking a step back quickly, Ronnie, that Reason to Soar proved the star of yesterday's card, winning his 3rd consecutive race and beating a legitimate field and foe in Cautious Giant.
Yeah, and did it very impressively, too, splitting horses. So we'll see how that horse progresses. And I was handicapping Saturday's card, and lo and behold, the horse finished second to him. So a horse that'll be running on Saturday's card, and we'll see how if it plays out and becomes a key race.
92 buy for Reason to Soar. It sounds like the Smile Sprint here on June 30th will be his next start. And speaking of that big day, we've got a little carryback dress rehearsal coming up further down the line with Thursday's 8th race. But again, fast and firm. We're in the mid to high 80s. A perfect day for thoroughbred racing. A little overcast right now outside, but nonetheless, we head on into that 50-cent early pick 5 with race number 1. I'll have an $18 ticket, or rather $24 ticket coming your way. And do note, we start the day here on this June 7th with back-to-back 5-horse fields after scratches. As a result, the opening super high 5 with just about 5,000 in the carryover pool begins in race 3.
And then right in race 4 is where the Rainbow Six starts with over $332,000 in that pool. That's races 4 through 9, and of course only that 20-cent wager.
All right, fast and firm. We'll dive right into it. 332 G's plus. That pool will be well over 400K when it's all said and done. And you do have some solid races in the mix. And again, no rain at this time of the year in South Florida is always a good thing. We'll get plenty of turf in as well. And why don't we just dive into that opening leg? And in fact, my entire early pick 5 ticket for $24. I think you're looking at, after the scratch of the one Vicky Queen in race 2, you're going to look at a real big favorite in the number 4 Up the Road, who, even looking at the double wheel pays, she's clearly favored, and I think she's only going to drop down in price. She goes out for Antonio Sano, who all of a sudden woke up yesterday, had a 2-win Wednesday afternoon, and she seems like a very logical anchor to me anyway, as I think this card card may just chalk out. I used the two favorites who are both sub 2-1 currently in the first race on this Thursday. Race number 3 sees me use, well, a couple in there. In fact, I like Salsa Jack and 10 Downing Street. You go too deep there, Ronnie. I mean, barring anything crazy happening or unexpected, they look like the right two.
Yeah, I have them in that exact order, 2, 5, and number 6.
Big spread for me in the 4th. I struggle with that race. I don't fully trust. And confidence and I think trust are the two main, at least, fears of mine going in with horses like the 1 Sold At Sugar and the 4 Kitty and Hill. So I wanted some coverage there and do have some coverage. And, man, it took me about 5 minutes a little over a year ago when I moved down here to South Florida and started working at Gulfstream Park to realize those $16,000 claimers here on the turf seemingly come up every couple of weeks in absolute war, and I think the 5th race lives up to the hype going in. It's just a really nice race on the grass to cap this sequence.
Yeah, I really like that race this afternoon. Got my long shot in there I'll tell you about in a little while.
All right, little Perfect Day from the inside post will be a nice price because he does a knee-jerk reaction for me and a little tough, but I look forward to hearing what you like about him as we, again, begin probably on a chalky note. This first race had, I think, the biggest scratch today. There were a number of defections on the car, but I don't think any of the defections will be felt as severely as the number 6 Giant Dilemma not running in what is now a 5-horse field. And you're really left with the number 2 Particularity, who I like the rider change to Marcos Meneses, and the horse they've got to beat unquestionably off a 50-day layoff is the number 7 Kid Cantharo.
Yeah, I mean, I got those two. I just got them flip-flopped. I started with the 2 Particularity, dropping back to his best level thus far on the turf. He made that 5-wide move. He finished 5th. It was a 5-furlong event. It was a special weight race that was moved from the turf to a sealed, sloppy track. Kid Cantharo's given time to regroup. I think those are the logical 2 in there.
All right, with Miguel Vasquez for trainer Fernando Abreu from the outside as Miguel looks to build upon his 41 wins here at the meet. Race number 2, again, speaking of scratches, we had, to be fair, and you just can't talk about these races without mentioning losing Giant Dilemma in the first and then the number 1 Vicky Queen in the second race. And I singled the 4 up the road in my early pick 5, and this filly just, boom, in for the 62.50 all of a sudden for Antonio Sano, who, again, I think might be heating up a little bit looking at that 2-win Wednesday he had here yesterday.
Yeah, he had those couple of wins, and as you mentioned, Vicky Queen scratching. He was even money. She was the even money favored in the race up the road, dropping to this level today of $6,250. Returned from the freshening and failed to fire, but that was against those 16 condition claimers. Was on that wet surface that day, listed as good. I used White Moon in second as you did, and Diana's Comprise, who closed, really woke up in a big way last time, almost sprung an upset at like 29-1. So big scratch in there. I think those are the logical 3.
Here's the 3rd back on the turf as we continue on with a pretty glib pace here. We'll be able to fly through the first segment of this edition of Gulfstream today because this $12,500 maiden claimer on the turf at a mile and a 16th in race number 3 clearly centers around, at least on paper, the number 5 Salsa Jack, who's the big drop down in the new face for top connections of Jonathan Thomas and Tyler Gaffalione, and the number 6 10 Downing Street, who picks up Nick Juarez after, I know he disappointed last time out at 3-5, but essentially he was behind a couple of next out winners. Do keep in mind the horse that was second, Spring Joy, did cross the wire first here over the weekend. It was DQ'd. Tough to go past the 5 and 6.
Yeah, Salsa Jack plunging to the 12-5 level after facing tougher on the turf with inconsistent results, but I want to show you a stat on Jonathan Thomas. Maiden claimers on the turf, just a straight stat, 6 for 27, 22%, 56% into money, $1.63 return of investment. That's over the last 2 years, not 5 years. We got cut it down to 2 years. The logical 110 Downing Street for all the reasons you mentioned. Finished behind that repeat winner, Kicking Boy, going a mile last time out.
And we've got Tyler Gaffalione, who, by the way, the first jockey this meet to hit the big 5-0, the big 50-win plateau, did it yesterday. In fact, it was a 3-win Wednesday for Tyler, a pick 3 sweep, in fact, won 3 consecutive races. So he enters this Thursday 9-race card with 51 victories, and we'll have him here tomorrow as well, but then it's on to Belmont Park for Saturday. Saturday. And needless to say, your stars come out, they run, they compete, they do their thing on racing's biggest days, and it's no surprise he'll be riding up. And on a very short price, I might add, in the Manhattan for Chad Brown. He's 3-1 on a horse by the name of Robert Bruce.
And yesterday, if you have time to go back and look at the races on GulfstreamPark.com, and the 2 races that Tyler Gaffalione won, you couldn't believe he won these races. It looked like he had no shot. 2 exceptional rides. Really, really nice job.
Yeah, the race with Y'all Lion, we know the horse was 3-5 and was a layover on paper, but the way he was just so cool and confident under pressure. I said after the race on the air, and I stick to it, almost had a Ramon Dominguez-esque vibe to me. And obviously that is a big, big, big compliment, considering we're talking about and referencing one of the great Hall of Fame riders and one of the best riders of our lifetimes in Ramon Dominguez. But we'll take a little time out in the meantime. Could be a chalky start to the day. We think things will open up. Race 4 down the line, so stay tuned. We've got a lot more action coming your way.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet. We are racing.
Welcome to my playground. To my playground. To my playground. You wanna play nice, here we go. To my playground.
And we want you here at Gulfstream Park having a great time throughout the week, and certainly this Belmont Stakes weekend, number 150, as we look to see if history's made Saturday up in New York with Justify becoming just the 13th Triple Crown champion in America and just the 2nd joining Seattle Slew as the only unbeaten winner of the Triple Crown. We do have limited space, table seats available up in 10 Palms. You can hop on GulfstreamPark.com or call, make reservations up at 10 Palms, but you know, and hearing you from past Belmonts when there's been a Triple Crown on the line, or even seeing it for myself on a rainy Preakness day, you get these big cards, even big days in other jurisdictions. Gulfstream, even with the simulcast and the live racing, place will be jumping.
It's jammed. It looks like a racing day, a big racing day during the championship meet. So come out early, get your spot, and enjoy all the races on Saturday.
And speaking of our good friends over at ExpressBet, they've got a number of solid, I mean, really solid promotions for new members, lining up perfectly with Belmont Stakes Week and Belmont Stakes Weekend. So definitely check out ExpressBet.com. As we move on to race number 4, and maybe you can fire up if you're not here on track, ExpressBet, to play today's Rainbow Six, as we have 330,000 plus in the carryover. And what's the play for you?
I got a $32.40 ticket, and you'll see it there, and you'll see in race number 7, I'm going to single the number 2 horse, and that's Uncle B, to make my ticket affordable, $32.40. So we'll see how that plays out. And you can see we have over $332,000 in the Rainbow Six pool, and got my long shot in there. You mentioned a little while ago in race number 5, and that's the 10-to-1 shot, Perfect Tay.
And Uncle B, your single, I should say, and your anchor will be a monstrous favorite in race 7. He really looks good. He's been one of the best claims on the season here in South Florida for trainer Lily Kurtnitz. So the sequence begins in earnest with race 4, one of the shorter races today on the main track, as we go the 5.5 furlongs with this 3-and-up filly and mare, $10,000 maiden claimer. I like the layoff of about 80 days, give or take, with the one sold at Sugar. I don't like that she was a beaten 8-5 favorite last time out, but picking up a live apprentice here in Romero Ramsey, and again, coming in off a little bit of a layoff, I thought those were 2 positives, and she is the starting point to this Rainbow Six.
Yeah, she's making her first start. She responded to that drop down to this level and distance with that 3rd place finish, and that was behind a pair of next out winners. And you were right, you went deep in this race, and when we look up, every time this happens, we almost have the same superfecta. Sold That Sugar, I'm not that sold on Sold That Sugar, so you went deep myself on my Rainbow Six ticket.
Well, Kitty and Hill needs a pop. I mean, a good effort first time out from this filly. A second time today going out for trainer Rohan Crichton, who does a good job. And I know we got a little bit of Rohan action coming up with this next stat.
Yeah, the stat, second career start, maiden claiming sprints on the dirt. He's solid. He's 3 for 15, 20%, 53% in the money, and he's got that positive return of investment. He quietly does a really nice job.
Here comes the Ghost on the outside. Will take some play, and rightfully so against a cast like this. This is a filly by Perspective who's coming out of a much improved effort. I don't know where that race came from, but again, she took a big step forward last time out at a demanding 7 furlongs, and anything close to that effort will put her right in the mix here from May 20th.
Yeah, she surrendered that 3-length lead when finishing second. That was against those 10 claimers going 7 furlongs. That was on a good track that afternoon. So I thought these were the logical 3 in here, and you went for 4 deep, which might be the way to go in that particular race.
Yeah, again, confidence and faith, just 2 areas I didn't have a whole heck of a lot of, and as a result, I think that's the Thursday spreadathon in race number 4. Let's move on to race number 5. These are 3 and up, $16,000 claimers on the turf at 7.5 furlongs. I like this race quite a bit. Is it my favorite race today? No. Race 7 has that distinction with Uncle B and Global Entry and Archer Road, but this is a good crew of just honest, hard-knocking, very reliable $16,000 claimers as we start the late pick 5. And I use 3. I feel pretty comfortable using every bit of Zitman, the number 5 Hot and Heavy, who's probably going to be a slight favorite because of his speed and the drop down for Danny Gargan. And of course, the form recently with the 8 Gregory Sun is strong, and then when you consider that horse is off the claim for Bobby DeBona, I think Gregory Sun is a must-use. 2 deep for me in race number 6. Little Toe ran so well last time out. I was so annoyed watching that race live because I had liked the 2nd and 3rd place finishers, and going back and watching, I hadn't realized the kind of trip, the kind of taxing trip and eventful trip that Little Toe had. So he was a more than deserving winner, and I see you've got him on top, yeah. Ronnie. He's one of 2 I used in the 6th. Now, the 7th race, again, Ronnie's single is Uncle B. My single is Uncle B. An amazing claim. The run he's been on has just been monstrous for trainer Lily Curtin. It's more in him in a few moments. Race number 8, our featured 8th today, the $75,000 Ocala Flame. I still have a wide eye of skepticism with the number 3 King Humor for a bunch of reasons, which I will talk about in a couple of minutes when we get up to the Ocala Flame. I like Noble Drama. I think he's a nice horse, and I do think he's getting back to a sprint on the dirt, which is what he wants to do. And look, you had 6 scratches, a half a dozen scratches in the body of race number 9. And with some defections and landing on basically 3 logical horses who all have speed, I'm very happy. If I can get up to the 9th, I'm going to feel pretty comfortable and confident with the 3, 6, and 12, Ronnie.
Yeah, I got the same 3 horses in my final race after those scratches in that particular race.
So let's talk about Perfect Day. We got time to work our way slowly and methodically through the 5th, but why don't we start with your long shot on the afternoon, who, again, my knee-jerk reaction was this horse just isn't in good form.
Well, what I did, I read the conditions of the race, about 7.5 on the turf claimers, non-winners of 3 in life or race since December 6th, or 3-year-olds, and I just thought Perfect Day fits that condition perfectly. You know, this is an 8-time winner, includes 6 victories on this local turf course, is hoping for a clean trip after having to check along the rail when finishing 5th. It was against 12-5 open claimants in his last. I just thought the conditions of this race, the reason I could get a little bit of a price, that is why I put this horse on top.
All right, 2 posts out, the number 3 Zitman is where I went on top, and clearly the one opinion of Ronnie and I, it's a difference of opinion. We're going to agree to disagree. You have no Zitman, I have no Perfect Day. Now, Zitman will have to run a little bit better than the effort will bring you back on April 28th. I do feel this was a deserving win and a victory and trip to the winner's circle. That was a long time coming for this gelding by Big Brown, because he essentially, many times throughout 2017 was just in way over his head, and I thought Miguel Vasquez, with his usual very athletic and strong finish, was able to get Zitman untracked at the right time, and he wins this race going away. Wins by a couple, but had they gone a little further and the finish line was up the stretch a little more, he would have won even more convincingly. I think he's got a little bit of class to him, and although he's taking a sizable jump up in class, there's a big difference from those 2 lifetimes to the 16s. I'm going to go with him right on back.
What I didn't like is that was his first win since January 2017. So I wanted to watch one more. I just don't know where that race came from, but a good performance.
Well, he was 8 to 5. So maybe he was 8 to 5 in that race. But again, I think for me, the moral of the story is he's got to step up and he's got to run a little bit better, because this race came up deep. The number 5 Hot and Heavy needs a mention, as he is in off a 200-day layoff, and obviously this horse's last good race was right around Travers time, late last August up at Saratoga in Saratoga Springs. 3 very forgettable efforts since then. But again, the layoff today, and do you see him as the controlling speed?
Yeah, he looks like he might be on the engine. I wanted to watch him. I got him on my tick a little further down, and we both have the number 8 Gregory Son in second, who moved to the Bobby DeBona barn after that claim, steps up to this 16 level, got nailed at the wire as the favorite when dropped to the 10,000 level, and that's why Bobby jumped in and grabbed this. So I just want to show you stat on Mr. DeBona first after the claim, all levels and routes on the turf. He's solid, 6 for 22. 27%, 1% in the money with a $2.83 return of investment. I like that horse to be somewhere on the ticket.
Very good trainer, nice horse who just makes a lot of sense running back and returning first off the claim in what amounts to a very competitive and compelling 5th race on this Thursday, June the 7th. So we're a little more than halfway home, just a 9-race card. Again, a little shorter and sweeter than many days here at Gulfstream Park. So you've only got 9 pieces of the puzzle, and that is a puzzle that continues with race number 6 as we volley back onto the main track with this $30 down to $25,000 3-and-up claimer. I think what price is Little Toe on
6 to 1, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you're going to get the 6 to 1.
I happened to look. That's why earlier today I happened to look.
I thought I saw yesterday 6 to 1. Because oftentimes Ronnie and I have to do our work because of the program deadline. We do it before the morning line is out, essentially. So there's many times I don't get to see Jay Stone's line, but in this case, not so sure about the 6 to 1. And again, I was so annoyed back on May 17th. In fact, that was Preak this week.
Right.
I think I was by myself doing the afternoon show downstairs. Pete was obviously calling the races, and I had liked the runner-up and Sensational Sam, and I was just so annoyed Little Toe won. But we've got him highlighted. We'll show you the race in the slop. And this is a horse who really had an eventful trip. Now, he's not in a great spot down the backstretch beneath Raylu Gutierrez, and Raylu's like, you know what? I got to get this horse into contention. Boom. They start to hit the far turn. He's got to steady out. I mean, things oftentimes at the bank of that far turn get a little tight, and he lost some momentum, lost a little ground there. He's also got to then re-rally, and he's got to do it taking all that kickback, I think, for the most part, in the toughest spot, where horses, for the most part, tend to want to make their runs towards the outside, and he's got to just grind away along the rail, and he's got horse, but he runs up on heels again. There's nowhere to go turning for home. Got to give Raylu Gutierrez some credit here. His patience and his poise under fire have been the real assets that have impressed me with this young rider. And here he comes now. He'll put in this run. He's a little green. He's on that inside lead, and despite the fact he was very green, boom, he's up in time. Again, the running line, the race will show on paper he won by a half length. And I'm not saying he had the worst trip I've ever seen for a winner, but when you factor in the eventfulness of that trip around the sloppy track here May 17th, it's a pretty good effort out of this Son of Malibu Moon.
And that race was originally scheduled for the turf, was moved to that sloppy main track. So if there's a little bit of a concern, can that horse run this well on the main track? I think it can.
Yeah, I think so as well. Who is the main danger to Little Toe?
I used the number 3 horse in second, Aguilera. I think it's pronounced stretching out to his best distance thus far after failing to reel in a repeat winner called Prince Tito when facing tougher. That was that 25 optional claimer, contested at 7 furlongs on the good track. And Prince Tito was in great form. He won that last race by like 5+ lengths, and 2 in a row he put together, and that was against 25 optional claimers. So I just thought that was the logical choice, and then I also used Big Fridge on my ticket.
Well, we'll see Prince Tito here stepping up in class late Saturday afternoon. In fact, a 12-race card on Saturday, Belmont Stakes Day here at Gulfstream Park. Place will be buzzing, place will be rocking as we focus in and not only have our dozen races, I'd say a race for each former Triple Crown champion, but we will be trying to see if Justify can win the big one up in New York in the Belmont Stakes, and we do have that limited space and seating available in 10 Palms, so hop on over to GulfstreamPark.com and make a reservation, and we will see you out here Saturday afternoon. Let's move on to race number 7. This is another good one. This will go as the co-feature in my mind today, and my favorite race on the card, and it's my favorite race because I've really developed an affinity over the last few months in 2018 for a gelding by Sensational. I think I said my single is a sensational gelding by Sensational, and that is Uncle B, who's just been one of these recent success stories for trainer Lily Kurtnitz. He did not win his last race, but a good effort back on April 28th. And this was one of these, and we'll show you the race on the turf that had a little give to it, but this was a field in that $75,000 Mies approval. This was essentially a grade 3 stake moonlighting as a 75K overnight stake. This was a legitimately deep, very deep and talented field. And do keep in mind, Uncle B wasn't badly beaten, stayed on very gamely towards the end of this race, and he was also returning. I would imagine he was doing well. Connection saw 75K stake. Probably came up a little tougher than they would have hoped, but he was also returning on just 2 weeks rest in that race. Now he's got 40 days with that rainy second half to the month of May. I think you're dealing with a fresher Uncle B, and I think he's going to be tough to beat, just like you.
Yeah, and he really highlighted his current sharp form with that race you just showed, that well-meant third-place finish in the $75,000 Mies approval. And you're getting Tyler Gaffleone this afternoon, and you saw that both Jason and I singled this horse on our tickets on his pick 5 and on my Rainbow 6. Cut the orders who I used in second. I don't see you have him on the ticket. In for the $25,000 tag in this optional claimer. Making his first start, he closed to finish in the dead heat for the victory. That was a 25 condition claimer. Want to show you a stat on Armando de la Cerda. Winner last time out on the turf right here at Gulfstream Park. He's 6 for 35, 17%. He's in the money 60% of the time with a positive return of investment. So they threw that one on the ticket, but he's going to have to run to beat Uncle B.
Top connections involved with the 6 cut to order. It's almost Uncle B against everybody else.
Yeah.
And there are some good horses in here. Don't forget the 3-year-old gelding by Miz and Mast and the 4 Naughty Bowie, who did some good things. In fact, he runs against one of his former stablemates. It's funny, Lily Kurtnitz had trained this gelding in Naughty Bowie, privately purchased by Reeves Thoroughbred, transferred over to Kathy Ritvo, and he's a dangerous horse, as is the much improved, at least in my estimation, Archer Road. I really liked his last race. It just seems to me, anyway, he's a gelding by Lawada Zanamo, who's gotten his act together of late for trainer Stanley Gold. And you would like Stanley's winner in the nightcap yesterday in draft, and that's been one constant. This is a barn that's really been in a nice groove, I'd say, since maybe the day after the Florida Derby ended.
And what a ride last night by Jeffrey Sanchez. He slipped up the rail to beat the one horse who was favored in that race. I thought it was an incredible ride. So 2-1-9 is how they finished, but I think Jeffrey Sanchez was the main reason that horse got up to win. I really enjoyed that ride.
And Jeffrey continues to pick up some traction and some awareness in this colony. Again, you've got 5, legitimately top riders who are gunning for leading rider status this spring meet. 5 guys from Tyler down to Miguel Vasquez with Amisael, Edgard, and Nick Juarez. So good to see Jeffrey riding well. And in fact, we'll see just about every top rider here on the circuit in action today in our featured 8th race, the $75,000 3-year-old Ocala Flame at 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. Carry back Summit of Speed Day, June 30th. Such a long-standing historic race, one of my favorite sprints. Even when I was up in New York, always liked the carry back. That's got a really impressive previous list of winners. And will we have an unbeaten King Humor perhaps being one of the favorites in the carry back. Now, this horse is 2 for 2 up to this point. We will bring you his last race on April 1st. In fact, speaking of the day after the Florida Derby, he was running on Sunday, April 1st as the championship meet came to a close. Did you ever think, because he wins this race in an all-out drive and was under a real hard ride for a long time, did you think he was beaten in this race watching it live?
Yeah, when I watched it live, I thought he might have been beaten in there. But, boy, it was just a hard-fought, well-meant victory. And he beat a couple of really nice horses. The horse that finished second in that race, Reed Can, they claimed him out of that race for a big price of $62,000, $500. And the horse that was third was the next out stakes winner. He won the Raw Stakes, and that's Tuxor Expectation. So I just thought that flattered King Humor, put him on top of the ticket. I know you had more concern about him maybe not winning today.
Well, I think he's got a real legit rival in Noble Drama, who's done some okay things as of now for trainer David Fox, is very closely related. In fact, he's in the same family as Big Drama, champion sprinter, of course, an Eclipse Award winner and Breeders' Cup Sprint champion back in 2010. So I like that he's got some quality built into his pedigree, and I factor that in with, I believe, even though he's coming out of a win at 2 turns, that at the end of the day, he's going to be more of a 6, 7 furlong sprinter / miler. So he's getting that today. And for King Humor, I just look at that big 98 buyer first time out going that sometimes quirky, odd distance of 5.5 furlongs, and I don't fully buy it. And it's funny, I get where you're coming from with Reed Can and Tudok's Expectations. I think Noble Drama is, at least on the dirt, a far better horse than either of them. So this will be a good little matchup. Yeah. Is it a 2-horse race? Yeah, well, you got to take your place in it, too. I think has got a chance to turn it back to this distance. He followed a really impressive allowance optional claiming victory at 3/4 of a mile. He comes back, he runs 5th. I just think he's better than his last race shown, but I think it's between those two, King Humor and Noble Drama. So I'm going to go with the 3 for the reasons I mentioned. I just thought that race really impressed me. Maybe he bounces off that. And Noble Drama, of course, winning the mile and 40-yard, $100,000 Silver Charm Sire Stakes upstate. We'll see if that the turn back. Tyler Gaffalione certainly did a great job for these connections yesterday. I mean, for trainer David Fox. Yeah, that was an amazing effort out of Florida Fuego. Did not break any stopwatches. I think she got a figure or buyer anyway in the high 60s, but the fact that she was able to gain as much ground as she did to get up to cut down Luz Mimi Princess, it was just a really exciting race, and we have not seen horses on a regular basis the last 3 days or so here at GP on the main track put in closers. I'm talking about those wide, extended, sustained runs. So kudos to Florida Fuego. Let's see if David can win another stake today. Good matchup in the 8th. Race number 9, we will do it quickly here as we close down the card with a field of 8. That's right, June 7th ends with this 2 lifetime $10,000 claimer. As you work your way through the field, do note both also eligibles did draw in. That leaves us with a field of 8. And in fact, I just don't see anything really creative or chaotic happening between the 3 Shim, the number 6 Travie Boy, and the number 12 Grand Malbec. I'm happy with those 3 till the cows come home. Yeah, I mean, the 3 Shim and now in a Larry Pallotti barn should run well. Grand Malbec and Travie Boy going to try to turf after that monster win on the main track. So we'll see. Maybe that speed, you just go to the lead and never look back. All right, sounds good. We like speed. We like speed here at Gulfstream Park, and we love Pete Aiello. And in fact, he's chomping at the bit. My man ready to go. It's a Thursday. It's Belmont Stakes week. We'll see you out here. Don't forget Saturday. And of course, Pete's coming up next to make your day even better right here on this live edition of Gulfstream Today.
A passion for horses and a commitment to breed champions is the foundation of Hardacre Farm. Founded by Amy Tarrant, owner, breeder, and trainer, Hardacre Farm, based in Ocala, continues its tradition of success from the Breeders' Cup to Gulfstream Park. Hardacre Farm, from the breeding shed to the racetrack, in pursuit of producing the best.